Good morning, Matt Waldman, Agent Provocateur. That's what I'm calling him. We're not doing introductions, but you must know that Matt Waldman is here to make trouble. I'm Bob Harris. I'm here to be part of the trouble, but not to like be the driving force, because that's certainly not what I do. This is the Feel It or Fuck
At least
podcast.
You're not trying to keep order.
How are you?
At least you're not trying to keep order. We appreciate that. We appreciate that very much.
You can find all of Matt's work at footballguys.com and at mattwaldman.com. That includes the rookie scouting portfolio, a very impressive body of work created by Matt Waldman over the last 20 years. And it's probably the reason most of you are here. So with that out of the way, let's get into the stuff that happened this weekend, Sunday in particular. And Jaxson Dart's entire scouting report was on display versus Denver. Feel it or fuck it, Matt.
I pretty much feel that one. I thought it was a really good showing of what he can do and what he currently can't. I think one of the impressive things about him, ability to buy time, his skill as a runner. You saw that when he climbed the pocket and threw the ball, he made good things happen fairly often in the first 2.5 quarters, I would say. He's money underneath 25 yards, from his pitch point. And so he made a number of nice plays. And then you saw Denver do a really good job consistently of getting the edges high, forcing him to climb and throw. And when he had to climb and throw and do it in a way where it was a tighter pocket or heavier pressure, he tried either too hard to be a hero or he was not accurate at all, and he often made bad decisions as a result of that too. The Broncos were able to bait him a couple of times with really wide defensive ends, wide tackles, and let the tackles run twists, and then he would step into the pressure and wind up in a bad situation. So, I mean, you're going to see him continue to be the most divisive rookie in football analysts, fans. I had some people who edit the RSP literally write me and go, he can't throw. I mean, like he's like, I haven't read anything you've done this year. He goes, but I can tell you right now, like he can't throw anything over 20 yards, and he does this, and I think he's got a noodle arm, but he does these things well, and it's crazy to me that people think he's amazing. And then you get the other side of the coin, ranging from Sean Payton to others who are like, I think he really found something here. And I think it's somewhere in between. I mean, I think he can become something good. It's just a matter of, can the Giants continue to play competitive football and eventually win with the weaknesses he has, or can he shore up those weaknesses enough to become a competitive quarterback no matter what a defense tries to do to him? And if he does the latter, you find yourselves a franchise quarterback. And I think he's close enough that there's reason to be excited about him, even though we're at a little bit of manic level.
Didn't Josh Allen do that under Brian Daboll, getting Brian Daboll a job as a head coach? I mean, isn't that one of the parts of his resume that like maybe we're trying to build on here?
That's the hope, and I would say if we're going to say overall, that's true. I would say the difference is
just because Josh Allen came into the league, what was the big knocks were accuracy and what else? I mean, but he definitely improved.
Yes, he did. He absolutely improved. But I think the difference is that Josh Allen overall was kind of like Ricky Bobby. He could do everything, but he was a bit of a knucklehead and immature about some of the things he tried to do, and it was too much hero ball and not being efficient with what he did. And I would say Jaxson has some of that, but there's a very clear, Josh can throw the ball over the field with pinpoint accuracy at times. It's just that when pressure came, he just tried too hard to drive backwards at 185 miles an hour. Whereas I think with Jaxson, there's a very clear weakness with his accuracy beyond 25 yards. And then there's all the little things, the hero ball things, the immaturities, the footwork in certain areas that break down that are a little bit more predictable. Whereas with Josh, it was more like the pressure came and then the lights went out upstairs, and they just had to figure out a way to keep the lights on.
The Giants fans don't give a fuck.
No, not at all.
and kind of nor should they. I mean, like, it's an exciting thing, right? Like, he's injected some energy, enthusiasm in the franchise, along with the young Cam Scattaboo, and it's exciting to see. I wish Malik Neighbors was there to be part of it. Is the thing that bothers me. And like, honestly, I think for fantasy purposes, NFL stuff aside, the rushing upside that he brings every week is going to make him a guy that you'll probably have on teams. And you'll probably end up starting maybe more than you should. But definitely a guy that's interesting and intriguing, just because he's different than what we've seen in New York for a little while.
Tony Romo-esque.
Well, the end of that game, we saw.
You're not that excited about him?
I'm not that excited about it.
Okay,
at the end of the game, I was very excited by the end of the game by Bo Nix rising up and doing great things because I needed him to. Also, obviously, the Giants offense. But some of this was some lousy defense. And so let's talk about why coaches use prevent defenses. It's because they're afraid of getting fired. Feel it or fuck it.
I'll say I partially feel that. I feel a lot of that because players get very angry when they cannot be aggressive on defense. When they've been able to stop a player or stop a unit for much of the game, and then basically the coaches decide we don't want to lose our job on the happenings of one or two plays because they catch us being aggressive. And I think that there's arguments for both sides of this, because on the one side it's like, you have defensive momentum, you're playing well, you're reacting well to what happens, and you feel like that you're not giving your defense a chance to look at things and adjust in the same way that maybe you don't give your running back enough carries to look and adjust, and at the end of the game make the big play because now they've got the offensive lineman where they want them. The offensive lineman have been reacting to one move or one scheme or one wrinkle, and now we've got them set up for a different wrinkle late in the game, and the coaches take that out of their hands, and now it's a whole different game that you're playing. And if your team happens to be pretty good at the 2-minute drill, then you've just basically taken it away from a lot of the players who were going to be able to make a difference, like a Brian Burns. But on the other end of the spectrum, why cost your coaches jobs at the end of a game where they're forcing the opposing offense to play a string plays together on a level where the odds of them getting down the field are lower if you're forcing them to take smaller plays throughout. But the problem is Bo Nix was getting chunks in that prevent defense. But at the other end, Brian Burns was limping around the field. So were they really counting on Brian Burns to be able to get the job done in that situation? Well, I think it's one of those that it's just a difficult answer to say one is definitively true.
Yeah, I do think, though, there's a tendency, like the big plays, like getting burned on big plays, I think coaches feel or what get them fired, whether that's true or not. Unless you're Mike McDaniel, then nothing will get you fired because he still has the job as we
He's got pictures of Stephen Ross somewhere.
And the reporting is, as we're recording this, that no changes are planned in Miami. Troy Franklin, tied for the team high in targets, 10 of them, only caught 3 of them. He's going to break out the second half of this year. Feel it or fuck it.
Fuck that. I think that.
No, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, I'm telling you. But do you have a Franklin side of the family too, Harris? Yeah. See, there you go. You got some Franklins on your. But like,
I might have a dynasty share.
Put a wig and you could be Benjamin. How about that? There we go.
Might have a dynasty share paired up with the Bo Nix dynasty share. Come on, man.
I think we saw some good things out of Troy Franklin without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, working his way open at the end line and the 2-point conversion. Some of the work that he did downfield was very good. But I just think that there's enough targets that he's kind of that tertiary target alongside a few other guys. He may be the leading option to be that third option, but there's still going to be enough weeks where he's not going to be consistently targeted enough to be that guy or targeted in an optimal way. So I'd say that he's a bye week option, but I don't think he's going to be someone you can count on weekly.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. Like any of these guys not named Cortland Sutton that you were hoping were going to be a thing, whether it's him, Marvin Mims Jr., it just seems like they're going to be peripheral players at best. So I feel that. Cam Ward, a buy low in Dynasty, feel it or fuck it.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling that because at worst, yes, you end up getting a guy who you probably for the equivalent of a third round pick right now, maybe even lower if some people are really down on him. But I think if you were able to maybe trade a promising player where the outcome is really unknown and a third round pick for Cam Ward, you might get him from some people who are really discouraged. But watching him this past week, Mike McCoy, pretty much the interim coach, has pretty much done what we were talking about 2-3 weeks ago when we reviewed Cam Ward here and when I reviewed him in the top 10, which was when the footwork is sound and he's playing in rhythm and his drops are tied to his first read and then he can move on from read to read, he looks like a good starting quarterback. When his feet go haywire and he doesn't have a plan, that's when he looks like the Cam Ward that we've seen for big chunks of weeks. And in the first half, in rhythm, good structured drops, was able to move from read to read, was able to make plays in an efficient, timely fashion. And I think that worked out well. When the Patriots were able to formulate plans to get to him early and his feet went haywire, there was no way the ball was even getting close to these receivers. And I think that's only going to get better because apparently Mike McCoy, every time he even looks at Cam Ward in the hallways of Nashville's facility, he's literally like footwork, like just pounding into his head. And I think Ward has the baseline footwork to just continue to make sure he applies it well in games.
I talked to Terry McCormick from Titan Insider yesterday and asked him, their talk was they were going to simplify the offense this week, or, McCoy, that was one of his plans. And I think his general thought was, not so much simplify, but try to focus on things that Cam Ward does well, which I think is great. But I think for the long term, and yes, feeling him as a long-term investment with the hope that something happens, but you need to have room on your roster. And you need to realize that it may take some time before he's a capable starter. Our colleague of Football Guys, Joe Bryant, put out something this morning of talking just about what it takes for a successful franchise. And there are three things: ownership, a coach, and a quarterback. The Titans might have one of those right now. I don't think they have the.
I almost feel that. I would add GM-coach relationship is very important.
Right. I think that goes hand in hand, right? Because I think those are the teams that are most successful, have that dynamic duo that works together. We see it in Detroit. We've seen a lot of teams that have had great turnarounds have that. I feel like we're seeing it in Minnesota as well. But yeah, many places. I think that's the key. So, but you get those things. The Titans don't have two of those things, right? And I don't know if they'll ever get the two right. They may have the quarterback right, but I don't know if they'll have the other pieces right. But I guess that brings up the point that I want to make is like these chapters. These are chapters. They're not stories. Baker Mayfield would like you to know that you can maybe stumble into the right spot with all the other pieces you need, and good things can happen. So I think in Dynasty, that's the outlook you have to take. I don't have a lot of hope for Cam Ward with the Titans. I don't see that franchise turning around. And hopefully I'm wrong, and they get something right, and they make a great coaching hire. And I don't know enough about their GM to have a strong opinion on them. Way to go to fire Brian Callahan, though. And granted, that wasn't his hire, right? So we'll see what goes on. But I think that's Cam Ward's obstacle right now. And the short term, it doesn't look great. But in Dynasty, we're not thinking short term. So
yeah, if you instead of spending a first round pick, you're spending a third round pick, I would be okay with that. A first round pick, I think
for sure,
it's probably you're taking more of a risk.
And in Superflex, you were paying a first round pick, and I'm probably okay with that as well, just because of the you're chasing scarcity, and you need bodies coming in no matter what. Yes, you're talking to somebody who drafted Tyler Shuck too. So what the hell do I know about any of this? Although we may see him soon. Running games take longer to click in a new scheme, and we're talking about the Bears. Matt, feel it or fuck it.
Oh, I'm totally feeling that. And one of the things is that when you have a new scheme, there is a lot. There can be a lot of different types of coordination between linemen that have to be worked out. Shifts, different types of double teams, different combo blocks, varieties of things like that, where you've got to get the timing down, and the timing doesn't always get down in practice because your running back isn't really facing people trying to really tackle, and that everything's being run at kind of half speed. As Ndamukong Suh would say, I played half speed in practice most of the time because although coaches would always yell at everybody to play at full speed and to play at full intensity, if I did that, practice would not be productive. And I think that that's the truth with a number of players in the league, and you see that, and you don't want to get hurt in practice either. So there's a little bit of fudging going on that impacts timing, impacts ability to handle. And it's not just timing of like the individual players' timing, but how they gauge other players' timing. So that's a big part of it. And I think that what we're seeing over the past 8 quarters with the Chicago Bears is that, the blockers are getting to the second level more frequently. DeAndre Swift is getting a chance to be able to make decisions where he doesn't have to be he doesn't have to think too much. It's just a matter of like get downhill, find the cutback. He doesn't have to make lemonade out of lemons, and he's not very good at that. But if you give him a lemonade and tell him to put a little ice in it, he can do that. And I think that that's what we're seeing is he and even Kyle Monangai, where Monangai is a hard runner, and what you see now is because there's creases that are open. When he gets past the first level, he's becoming more of a load to break tackles. Whereas earlier in the season, when he would hit a crease, it really wasn't there, and then he was going to have to do his far cry of an imitation of Walter Payton to even just get a yard or a loss of a yard or two. So you're getting to see these guys really come to the forefront in terms of what they do best because the line is playing so well.
That's an interesting view. I like you think what I guess you think the running is the easier component of an offense to install, right? Like the blockers are just running downfield, the back is doing what backs do, and that's why backs can come in out of anywhere. You're starting to sell me on this. I'm not feeling it yet, but I'm not fucking it anymore.
But that's why backs come out of nowhere and be able to do what they do is because they're usually behind a good offensive line that has their timing down, that has the plays down. And this one's a complex offense. And that's why Ben Johnson is really performing a clinic for the media on how to coach every aspect of what he comes into contact with. And that includes front office, ownership, players, and media. I think if we look back and watch him with that, even with the terse answers to the sideline reporter that maybe have people laughing or not laughing, he's what he's doing when he talks about, block, no rock, he knew he needed to get his receivers sold on this early because any chance they needed to be able to run would be making sure they're buying in. And then as the offensive line gets it together, you're going to start breaking big plays. And I think that he had a 360 view of how this was going to come together. And we're seeing it come together even when, Caleb Williams doesn't have strong games. This team has 2 dimensions now, and when they face bad teams, they're still competitive, if not winning football, because they can run.
Remember where he comes from, Detroit, where they came in and turned the franchise around. This didn't start out well, where they were 0-10 under Dan Campbell to get going, and a laughing stock, but it was that installing the culture and rebuilding, how they approach things, and I think it is interesting. I do love watching that process, and I think I agree with you there. I feel that we're seeing that. Jordan Whittington, feeling nothing about this guy. Why will he always be fool's gold as a substitute fantasy start?
Because people talk about him being a great route runner, and he's a good zone route runner. not a great one. He's competent, I would say. He's a former running back who can get some yardage, but if he's a product of a system in terms of what they ask him to do, that's what Jordan Whittington is. And I think people get excited about the wrong things with him. It's the diagnostic skill and route running technique that really make a difference. And I'd say that he's got half of that as in the zone game, but not the man game. If you're looking for a player who could do both for you, it's going to be Kanade Mumfield. And I don't think we're going to see Mumfield rise to the occasion enough to really earn anything this year. It's going to be spread around between. This is like Troy Franklin, but even less so. It's like, you're going between the 3 or 4 tight ends that they have, and Davis Allen, Ferguson,
Sean Payton channeling his inner Arthur Smith coming out in 13 personnel.
Colby Parkinson and Tyler Higbee. I think that Whittington is, just a part of a number of names that will get some targets, but he's not going to be that guy who even remotely replaces Puka Nacua.
Yeah, Mumfield, I'm very upset with him for taking one of Devontae Adams' touchdowns away from him. Will not have that. Devontae Adams back to the best goal line back in all of football, and I'm loving it. We're talking about the tight ends. So I guess the plan here is start your tight end against the Jaguars if Andrew Wingard remains on the field.
Yes, because I think that Andrew Wingard's somehow, like if our buddy Mike Dempsey somehow got onto the field playing safety and was biting on everything that happened, that's basically what's going on. Or if you or me, for that matter, Mike's just closer. He's a Jaguars guy. So, but Wingard gave up a huge play to A.J. Barner. That was like a 63-yard or something like that. I think it was a 63-yard reception, catch and run. And it's because he bit on the play fake. And Barner, who has the speed of a sundial, ran past him. And then Wingard, literally having the nightmarish moment that he did when he saw that he bit too hard on this, was giving chase to Barner. And Barner kept making him miss. And you're a defensive back and you've screwed up a play, and now you've got to you're hoping you just can get a hit on this guy and bring him down fast. And I bet he was dreaming about that for the past couple of weeks. And then you see this past week, and you're looking at Jake Ferguson, and he bit on a play there where he was too far up, and Ferguson ran by him and scored on a deeper play. I think pretty much Wingard is one of those guys that's a liability in the passing game. And if you have a tight end who gets even just enough snaps to get some targets and you're desperate, start that tight end.
That's fair enough. Chimere Dike, Dynasty buy low to go along with your Cam Ward cheers.
Yes, absolutely feeling that. Dike is a rugged player, kind of in a Puka Nacua-esque type of way, plays at a high level of pace, breaks tackles, and as long as he can position himself well to catch the ball, he does good work. And I think that you saw it on display last week. He made a number of nice catches. He's replacing Calvin Ridley right now, and he's not going to continue to get these opportunities short term. But if you're rebuilding and you're looking for a long-term piece at a cheap price to hold on to, maybe you can pry DK out in some sort of combo deal.
Pat Freiermuth, big game. Just getting started. Feel it or fuck it, Matt.
Fuck it. I don't think he is, as much as I was feeling good about Pat Freiermuth.
We're going to be both.
Yeah, listen, the touchdown that he caught in the first one, it was against a cover 2 look with really wide splits. And it was basically a matter of the defense saying, Aaron, we're gonna see if we can get our linebacker drop far enough for you not to be able to throw it over him and still get it to Freiermuth underneath the safeties. And Aaron Rodgers said, yeah, that's not the part of me that's gone. So that was dumb. And then the next play was literally a numbers game against a cover 6 look where it was like cover 3 on one side, cover 2 on the other, and they had most of the field covered. And when Rodgers saw the one linebacker sliding to the right, Rodgers immediately spun, turned to his left, and threw the ball downfield to a wide open Freiermuth at that point. And so Freiermuth did a great job doing his part, but most of that was on Aaron Rodgers. And the way they're playing they like to have, the Darnell Washington as a blocker. Jonnu Smith seems to be the guy that they feel good about in the flats. They would be wise to keep playing Pat Freiermuth and let him be an extension of the run game. Let him be, use him in a way that they need to. But once Calvin Austin returns, you're probably going to see Freiermuth still getting fewer targets. But right now, he's part of their 4 receiver set because Roman Wilson can't do fuck.
Yeah, they talked about going into the season how, I heard beat writers saying he's the heartbeat of the offense, etc. And maybe he still is. He's just not a productive heartbeat of the offense. And I don't he had 8 catches going into that game, right? And I think that tells you where he's at. This is an outlier game. I like to believe it's more. I have shares of Freiermuth still rotting at the tail end of some benches. So I'm hoping that they can at least eliminate the odor emanating from that portion of my.
I cut him for bench. Darren Waller and Evan Ingram, and I would have been better off with Freiermuth this week, but it didn't matter.
Go ahead and cut Darren Waller. Pec injuries aren't often good signs. We'll see how that one plays out for him. Lord. And also, Miami not playing good football. The Browns stats. So this is an interesting one because we had talked about this before. I wrote about it in my fantasy notebook a couple weeks ago when Flacco was traded to Cincinnati, trying to figure out what was the outcome going to be. The Brown stats weren't a good argument against Joe Flacco. I know you feel this.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not a one-to-one comparison.
No, not at all. When you've got Jerry Jeudy, Jamari Thrash, and Cedric Tillman as your wide receiving core versus T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and Andre Yosivas, I don't think you're not even comparing within the same, universe in terms of what these guys can do. The versatility that the Bengals receivers offer, the high-end level play, the consistency, and they also love to go downfield. And Cleveland's not a downfield team. And Joe Burrow has always been a downfield quarterback. That's always been a big part of his game. And so, but also, you don't need the heavy play action component or a long drawn out one like you do in Cleveland to get the ball out to a receiver in the short ranges of the field. There's a lot that they did to make Jamar Chase an extension of the running game that was more efficient or quicker hitting and effective than what Cleveland's able to do with their particular scheme. So we could talk all we want about what Burrow's stats look like with the Browns or even with the Colts to a degree. Flacco. Did I say Burrow? I did.
You did.
So, but I think that he's someone that while he's still going to make mistakes and you're still going to see things in his stats resume that look more like, Joe Flacco-esque. The thing that people forget, and you need to just look at the Browns since they've lost Flacco, is that defenses can now blitz and do different things that Cleveland can't adjust their way out of. And Flacco, there aren't many quarterbacks out there. Maybe they're younger, maybe they have better numbers, but most of them, if someone could give the metrics heads a chance to see how many times a quarterback got an offense into the right play, got him out of the wrong play, put the play in the right direction rather than the wrong direction, Joe Flacco would probably end up being closer to Joe Burrow on the scale of that, if you could measure it, than what we're seeing with a lot of other quarterbacks. So trading mid-season for a quarterback who doesn't have the experience Flacco does just would be silly. This, to me, seemed like the only smart option for a trade where someone could get up to speed as fast as Flacco has because of his experience and his ability to read defenses to at least get them into the right play and have a chance, and then he can continue to grow into his game as he gets more acclimated to the terminology and the play calls.
First, the metric heads are too busy trying to explain to me why Jalen Coker is a thing, and unsuccessfully, people. Also, like, I 100% agree with all that. I mean, I just think you put experience matters, right? In situations like this. And I felt like Jake Brown, we saw some success with him last year in this spot. Maybe it would have gotten better at some point. It was not going to get as better as it got as quickly as it has with Joe Flacco. I don't think it would have. And that brings us to Ja'Marr Chase. Let's say this. Ja'Marr Chase will finish with at least 120 catches and 1,300 yards this year, be a top 5 wide receiver, feel it or fuck it.
I'm feeling it. I know that there was concern that Chase is just going to go move down a complete tier at least because of Flacco, or just because Burrow was gone. But now with Flacco in the mold, what you're seeing is him really being an extension of the run game on a level where he makes that work. But because they can build off that, he's not just like, I don't want to say it like this, but let's do tiers, okay? I'm trying to think of a receiver who just basically is throw the ball to him in the short range of the field and let him be a runner. Let's just say any gadget player. Nah, CD's better than that. But
CD is you can do that with CD.
You can do that great. So CD Lamb and Chase are very much similar players. So what I would say is they're like the first tier of that type of player. They can do everything. You can line them up anywhere. You can ask them to run any route against any defender, and you can expect them to come open. But there's guys who are like gadget plays. Let's say Malachi Corley. If you threw the ball to Malachi Corley, it's probably going to be 10 yards and less, and probably more like less than 5 yards from the line of scrimmage. And if it's blocked right, he can give you yards and then some because he can break tackles and he can make somebody miss. Then you have your players like the highest producing version of the second tier player, I would argue, is Puka Nacua. Okay, so Puka Nacua is a great player, but what he's great at is, linear routes, not, a lot of zone work. You can throw him short, but you can also let him go deep, sneak behind zones and make contested plays. He'll work over the middle for you. He does awesome work on a variety of routes, some one-on-one routes too. But then you have your Chase, your Adams, your CeeDee Lamb, where you can line them up pretty much anywhere, though with Adams they'd prefer to keep him at the X. But you can line these guys up anywhere and you can build off of it. One day you can, one play you can throw an RPO. The next play you throw something that looks like it's set up as a screen, but it ends up being a slant. Then you end up doing things with crossing routes that build off of those slants. Then you throw a double move down the field with a slant and go. And then you can do things like comebacks and outs and timing routes that basically set up the go route and come back, and you can do that against any type of coverage. And that's why I think Ja'Marr Chase, you look at him and they're going to pepper him to the point that, you're going to have to put, five red peppers on the side of the menu next to his name.
Ooh, spicy.
Yeah.
Spicy. Jordan Addison is in the same tier as Devontae Smith. Feel it or fuck it.
Totally feel that. And
I said it.
Yeah, totally.
I hadn't thought of it that way until till this question, and I said, that's a pretty good comparison.
Yeah, totally feel it. They're both high-end wide receiver twos who can pass as wide receiver ones for stretches of time. Great at winning the ball in contested situations. They can take the top off in the vertical game. They play well enough over the middle to be able to get yards after the catch. You don't necessarily want them existing there or setting up shop there on a regular basis, but there's certain plays that really work well for them in that respect. And Addison's on a hot streak, and he's a player I was trying to acquire in one league recently. I was willing to give up Derrick Henry and a pick, or David Montgomery and a pick, in a dynasty league, trying to get Addison. But sometimes folks want to hold on to what they got.
So someone was trying to trade me this past week Addison for Cortland Sutton. Feel it or fuck it.
In a dynasty league, I would feel that just because Addison's younger. In redraft, I would still say you want to give Sutton the edge. It's closer than it looks, but I would say I'd still feel I wouldn't want to make that move.
Yeah, I told him to fuck it. So all right, so here we go. Fuck this question because I feel like it's an attack on me personally. I don't really care for it, but I'm going to say it anyway. Jayden Daniels has been found out.
Oh, fuck that. He hasn't been found out. No, but I just wanted to make Bob sweat and get pissed off at me. But no, Jayden Daniels hasn't been found out. What's been found out, if anything, is that, not all their wide receivers are available on the field. He's playing with new guys. He's had 47 snaps with his 3 starting receivers this season. And so the combination of pressure, the combination of his receivers being new to what's going on, there's times that maybe he's been inaccurate with certain throws that either have to do with that or just being under pressure, and then injuries on top of all that. I mean, it hasn't been a good year for him, but it's not because he's taken a step back.
Hold on. One day after benching Justin Fields, that coach has another go. Aaron Glenn thinking about whether he needs to bench Justin Fields. Justin Fields, field or fuck it.
Oh, fuck it. We talked about that last week. Fuck it. It's great.
Just revisiting.
I'll revisit my football guy's entry in overrated and say Justin Fields, it's great that he could run for 1,200 yards, but he might throw for 1,200 yards, and that's not enough to say, ooh, the legs are worthwhile.
Right. This is where we draw the distinction between the quarterbacks who give you all this value as rushers as fantasy plays. The double-edged sword of that is it's hard for them to keep their jobs because they have to be good enough to do that.
You got to manage a football game.
Right.
You've got to, and he doesn't do that well.
But the upside, I'll probably often chase the upside there, but only at the right price, people. This is not for everybody, kids. Buy them very cheap, or you're going to put yourself in a bad spot.
You better know how to handle nitroglycerin. That's all I'll say.
Right.
You can use it to blow things up. You want to.
Anthony Richardson would like you to know that he can destroy a team if you give him a fantasy team, if you put enough draft capital into it.
Yes. Lesson learned on both fronts for us.
On second thought, Spencer Rattler could turn into a starting NFL quarterback. Feel it or fuck it.
Even though it was a 3-interception day for him, and there are people who would probably say, this is who I thought Spencer Rattler was, when after some of the hype that's gone on for the past couple of weeks, I still think Rattler still has a shot. It's not a high percentage shot, but it's on the same level as, say, Cam Ward right now. And the reason I say that is if you watch the Patriots game, there were a lot of good throws on the money, and as long as he has room to step up in a pocket to avoid pressure, he's good. The Bears didn't give him that chance. The Bears did a fantastic job with their blitz packages, and when they got Kyler Gordon back this week, they have really good blitzing corners. And Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon were fantastic in the blitz game, and there was a sequence where basically they got enough pressure on Rattler very early in his drop phase on 3 consecutive plays. I think there were 3 consecutive plays or 3 sacks within one series, and the outcome of those pressures and hits that he took, his accuracy started to wane a little bit, and he threw his first interception or his second interception in that game. And I think that this was a bad day for Rattler overall, but it was a really good day for the Chicago Bears defense and what they were able to accomplish. So I still see Rattler as kind of a Ryan Fitzpatrick, aspiring Ryan Fitzpatrick type of player. There's something there in his game that I legitimately see. Like, I see why our buddy Mark Schofield, way back in the day when we watched him in an RSP film room, said there's something there with him, but it's clouded by a lot of stuff, that he needs to kind of unravel or unwrap and untie. And I think that he's getting closer to untying a lot of that. And no, Bob, Tyler Shook they're not bringing Tyler Shook in. Tell me, who are you talking to?
Yes, they
whispering? That's what they're doing?
Yes, they are.
You think so?
Here, two numbers that matter: 1 and 6, and the $10 million guaranteed second-round contract. At some point, they've got to see what they have in Tyler Shook. Sorry.
That's true. You're right. Okay, well, too many boy band auditions going on at once, but that's all right.
That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just where it's at. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, like, if Spencer Rattler, if they were getting a win here and there, I think this is a much easier argument to make. And I don't disagree with anything you said. I just think the math ain't mathing.
You're right.
Tyjae Spears will never be an NFL lead back. Feel it or fuck it.
I'm feeling it, and I am disappointed to say that, but I think that Tyjae Spears with the knee injuries, the ACL stuff.
He doesn't have one of those.
Yeah, so I think teams are scared to use him anything more on a sparing type of basis. It's too bad though, because when you watch him play, you're like, Jesus, this guy's a fucking monster when he runs the football. And I wish he could get enough touches to be that, but I don't think there's going to be a team that feels comfortable doing that.
Kyle Monangai deserves more touches. Feel it or fuck it.
I'm going to say fuck it. As much as I love what he's doing, DeAndre Swift's playing well enough. I would say, that's 4 words? No, 5 words. That's 5 words I didn't think I was going to say. Is DeAndre Swift's playing well enough. But he is. And they're blocking well, so he's doing his job. Monangai is going to be the complement. He's going to get enough touches to sometimes matter, like he did this past week. And he's a good running back and an underrated one, but we're going to need a Swift injury for him to become the lead dude.
Colston Loveland is a dynasty disappointment. Feel it or fuck it.
Oh, fuck that. Fuck that. It's we're 7 weeks into the season. And
did you see the one play yesterday? I mean, there was one play yesterday where you go, oh yeah, I see what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Like a nice leaping. Yeah, you can see some. Like if you didn't already know, and you're wondering what the heck is up with Court Love, and you saw that play, you're probably going, oh, he does things like that.
Yes. He can win one-on-one routes. He can go up and win the ball. He has good control at the boundary, great body control. And with Cole Kmet being a little banged up after this week's game, we might see more Loveland. Now, again, they spread the ball around a good bit. They're running the ball a lot. Loveland may not get a ton of love, but he could be, if Kmet's out for any length of time, Loveland could have a potential for some good games if there's some nice tight end matchups against defenses. Certainly if they play Andrew Wingard coming up. I don't know if they do. I don't think they do.
Interesting. I was super encouraged, and we'll see. I have some investments, but yeah, from a dynasty perspective, that's crazy. He's been hurt. He was hurt throughout the course of the training camp. Needs some time, people. We were all wanting Sam Laporta. We didn't get it. Might get it later. Daniel Jones and Tyler Warren will continue to have strong seasons. Why would you not feel this?
I don't know. I don't know why I wouldn't feel it. But I think a lot of people expected that I was going to say fuck it last week in last week's gut check when I wrote about it. And I would say this. The reason I feel this way most of all, and this will probably be more predictable for people who think that I'm just going to be like, no, he's a fraud. It would be that it's a pretty easy schedule for the Colts. They've had an easy schedule. They continue to have an easy schedule. And the offense is playing well enough because Jonathan Taylor is a fucking monster that they put teams into cover one. And when teams play cover one, Daniel Jones does what he does best because you can throw one-on-one to receivers. You can run different types of looks and options that create schemed plays that work out well. And then when they play too high zone, the same thing. They can run different types of schemes that get Tyler Warren open because off of the run game. So linebackers have to be very conscious about flowing to Warren in the flats more than they have. When they do that, they can stop them, but a lot of teams can't do that because some of the bells and whistles of what the Colts offense looks like, some of the play fakes, the risk of letting Jonathan Taylor run behind you if you don't, or somebody else, if you flow to the flat too early. So, I mean, overall, the only way that the best thing I would say out of this question to keep an eye out for is that if you're ready to say, oh, fuck it on Daniel Jones and Tyler Warren, you need to see basically what's going to have to happen is that teams are going to have to start shutting down the gimme plays to Warren off of play action that look like the Tucker Kraft type of plays, and see if they shut those down 3 to 4 times a game. And they're going to have to play more 3 high, 2 high, and cover 6 to Daniel Jones and bait him to throw to the middle of the field where he's still shown little regard for safeties in a positive way. Like in a negative way. It's not that he's like Aaron Rodgers and going, fuck you, I'm going to fit this ball through past the safety and there's nothing you can do about it. It's more like safety. What's safety? And there's been a number of dropped interceptions that have come over the past 4 or 5 games as a result of Jones not seeing those safeties or gauging them correctly. And if teams can do a better job of pressuring him and being able to bait him into those types of throws, we could see some problems. But you're going to need to see that for like a span of 2 games before you get really despondent about Daniel Jones. Otherwise, remain excited about him as a quarterback 1.
Feel that part of it. Very excited. It's been great. The scoring has been great. Jonathan Taylor's a big piece of that as well. And it's nice to see Michael Pittman return some value and maybe exceed expectations for a change.
Oh,
the Chargers, on the other hand. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's I didn't pay that much for him.
Good.
I didn't pay that much for him.
But you're wise. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I thought you got him for a bargain basement price. The Chargers. Proof that epigenetics apply to organizations. What the hell is that? So, no, this is nonsense.
It's
not feeling this
it's
at all.
Nonsense. But if you show up at college campuses and start spouting half truths, this is probably a good example of that. It's like some of those campus preachers and speakers. But like epigenetic, if we were going to make a good joke about it, we could say the idea that organizations have a DNA and that DNA gets activated in certain situations. Well, the Chargers are this team that it has been that team since the Phillip Rivers era, that they start hot and they finish flat. And you think they finally turn the corner and then things just really start fucking up all over the place. And it feels like the Chargers have been snake bit again this year in that regard. It's probably for very different reasons. There's probably not somebody in the organization who's causing this problem, but it
might be.
But there is. There's maybe multiple people, but it's not one person spanning back from the Phillip Rivers era or the Dan Fouts era, or the Drew Brees era.
Days.
It might be we could say it's the curse of Drew Brees. That those fuckers got rid of Drew Brees for Phillip Rivers. And maybe it's the curse of, who was that GM and something Smith, right? Philip Smith?
Yeah. I hate that I can picture his face. I'm picturing his face.
He looks like he ate pickles all the time. AJ Smith, yeah. So AJ Smith, he looks like Ted Knight at a golf course in Caddyshack, all the time, but
I'm waiting.
Yes, exactly. And that's what he was probably saying to Marty Schottenheimer about when you're going to start Phillip Rivers,
And Chargers fans are still waiting for everything to come together, and it's just not. All right. I think we've sorted that out. That's it for this week. We'll be back next week. Week 8, a lot of things be going on. You'll have 6 teams on bye. People, you'll need to get that sorted out. So put your effort in this week, and I hope you're all feeling great about your teams and they're not fucking you. Thanks, Matt. Love you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Love you. Bye. AJ Smith.